All right, we're back with Craig and Frankie, and it's time for fantasy or reality. I'll make a statement, and you guys pick a side. Craig, we'll start with you. The Oilers have the easiest path to the conference finals. Fantasy or reality?
It's reality. I'm wearing my orange tie for the Oilers because I think they do have an easier path. I think the LA Kings are totally vulnerable. They'll dispatch with them. And then I think they match up very well with the Vancouver Canucks. That Central Division with Dallas, Colorado, and Winnipeg, that is what I would call a real serious test for whoever's coming out of there. So absolutely on the Edmonton Oilers.
I'll say it's reality as well. And yeah, you can talk about the path and the teams they have to go through. And Craig, you're not wrong. But the Edmonton Oilers, they're the best Canadian team. Look at the players that they're going to put on the ice and look at the improvements that they've made this season. Ever since Chris Knoblauch took over, that's the best team in the NHL. And they've improved in a lot of categories that are going to help them come playoff time. And you add in the pieces that they brought in at the deadline. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are dying to have some playoff success past what they've had, and this is a very good opportunity for them this season.
All right, so both you guys think the Oilers have an easier path or the easiest. Well, talk about bad luck for the Dallas Stars. Their reward for winning the Central, a date with last year's Cup champion Vegas in round 1, and then a potential meeting with the previous Cup champion in round 2 in Colorado. So, Frankie, the Stars have the toughest path to the conference final, fantasy or reality?
Fantasy. The toughest path to the Stanley Cup Final belongs to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Think about what they're going to have to go through here. They're going to have to play the Boston Bruins, a team that they have struggled mightily against in the past. That is a house of horrors for them. If they beat Boston, there's a very good chance they're going to have to go up against the Florida Panthers, who no one wants to see the Florida Panthers. The odd chance that might be the Tampa Bay Lightning, I doubt it, but they're two very good teams there they may have to go up against. And then if you get through to the conference finals, congratulations. You probably have the New York Rangers or the Carolina Hurricanes. Great, thanks for coming out. So there is a very difficult path to the Stanley Cup Final for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Fantasy. And you know what happens when you have bad luck in Vegas? You go home a loser, and that's what the Vegas Golden Knights are going to do after they play the Dallas Stars. I don't like their team. I don't like the way they've played. You think about their 11-0-1 start, and you consider what they've done after they've been a middling team. And, yeah, we give them a benefit of a doubt at times, having won the Stanley Cup, and sure, they can find their game. The Dallas Stars are a top-notch team, so I don't think it's the toughest path. I agree with Frankie in everything he said.
Based on the odds at FanDuel, there are two major underdogs in round 1. You got the Capitals plus 315 against the Rangers and the Islanders plus 275 against the Hurricanes. Craig, one of these Cinderellas, they will pull off the upset and advance to round 2. Fantasy or reality?
Okay, I'm going to go one step further. It's the greatest fantasy in this year's NHL playoffs. I don't think either one of those teams, if they can get it to 6 games and only lose in 6 games, I think they can look at it as a victory. These two teams, the Islanders were a little bit, they limped into the playoffs. The Washington Capitals goal differential, it's like one of the worst ever. No way they have a chance against the Rangers or the Carolina Hurricanes.
I agree with Craig. This is a fantasy. When you take a look at both these teams, they are what they are. There's nothing extra under the hood for both of these teams. And if you want to compare this story to other stories in years past, maybe it was the LA Kings when they knocked off the Vancouver Canucks, President's Cup champions, and went on to win the Stanley Cup. Or last year, the Florida Panthers, who knocked off the President's Trophy champions and beat the Boston Bruins. But guess what? These are not the same types of teams. These teams have been what they have been all season long, and I expect them to lose in the first round. And that should not be an unpopular opinion because that's just who they are.
Just be careful, Craig, because you mentioned the Capitals' goal differential. Dylan Strome pointed out when they played the Rangers this year, the goal differential in those games was even or maybe -1. It definitely wasn't that bad. So this has been fantasy or reality. Thanks, guys.